Hey guys, good morning. I hope you all are having a wonderful and blessed day. Thank you so much for being subscribers to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos. It is most appreciated. I wanted to talk with you all today about your character, how important character is. Something I was writing down the other day, and I said, education and charm, charisma can take you to many places, but a poor character will destroy it all and bring you right down. Education and charm, charisma can take you to many places, but a poor character will destroy it all and bring you right down. And I cannot help but remember the Bible scripture that says, a good character is better than all the riches in the world. And a good name is better than all the riches in the world. And it's the same thing. Your name is basically your character, what you are known for. That's what they're saying, a good name. When people say your name, what are people saying about you? What comes after that? Everyone in their lives can make mistakes. They can do and say things they shouldn't have done. Growing up, you may have been a certain way, behaved a certain way. I've been that way, made choices, done things, just been, just having fun, doing what I want to do. But the idea is that you want to get to this place where you have a moment where you're going, okay, this isn't what I want to do, or you begin to mature, you begin to get better. And in your maturity, you need to learn your lessons. If you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, then you're not learning. And then the lessons are going to be harder. If not, you're going to face consequences. Now, when the Spirit of God enters into your life and into your heart, as believers, we have the least amount of excuses, because the Spirit of God has come to guide us and to lead us into all truth. And He's going to show us what we're doing. He's going to shine a light in those dark areas in our hearts. And it's up to us whether we're going to listen or not. But a lot of people are not listening. And then, you have others, they may not be Christians, but they still have a conscience. They know the difference between what is right and what's wrong, what's morally, ethically right or wrong. And they just continue on that path and do what they want to do. So yes, they can go to school and they can be educated and they can get all the worldly wisdom, and they can meet meet the status quo. They can be dotting all the I's and crossing every T academically, financially, socially, whatever circles that they are in. They may have the house, the cars, the lands, the connections, the people, all of that. They will have it, but it will all be destroyed with a poor character. This is why we read about the scandals that we hear. This is why you read about military officers and generals losing their not losing their lives, losing all that they have worked for just for their secretary. I remember when I was serving, just hearing that, it made the news. Sergeant Major got stripped down to an E6. I mean, this is Command Sergeant Major. He's at the top of, he's like the creme de la creme. He's up there. But turned out he had been lying. Turned out all his school and a lot of things that he had said, his accomplishments, were falsified. This was the day before when, he was in the military, at times when maybe, you just need to present you can present your transcript or a degree, but they were not as, I wouldn't say as thorough, but the checks and balances were a little bit different, right? They assume that you're going to be doing the right thing. You present a transcript and say this from the school, it looks legitimate, you can do that. It's fine. So he was doing that for a long time. He was just building up his stuff for many years. Turns out a lot of his accomplishments were not true. And one day this military officer just went and started looking at some stuff with him, because he already had a reputation of, he was nice to the ladies, but he was very cocky in a certain way with the guys. So somebody decided, from what I heard, it was an officer, he decided to start really looking through, combing through his paperwork and some things like that. Long story short, it turns out a lot of his accomplishments, they were all lies. And I saw this man who had so much status be brought all the way down. They brought him, stripped him of his rank. He went down, and ended up going to jail. Or being put in a military prison. He was forced to give up some things. I can't remember everything, but what took him there? His character. What was his character? He was a dishonest person. He lied. That's a character flaw. Okay? He was able to run. He was able to soldier. He was able to do all those things. I had seen him before. He knew a lot of things. There were things he knew. Don't get me wrong. But his character, there was a flaw there that made him feel like he can do this. He wanted to go up because the more education and the more you accomplish, you're going to go up, up, up. You're going to win those boards. I mean, he still had to sit in on the boards or promotion boards or whatever he had to do. But these accolades and these extra things are going to help him. So yes, through his education and through his abilities and through his charm, he made it. But his character got him in the end. Let's talk about teachers. They go to school, get their education, finally get their teaching degree, and then go into school and sleep with a student. Their character, lack of self-control. They know no boundaries. Something in them, this perversion, that despite their accomplishment and how they look and all they're doing, guess what? Their character did not hold them accountable. Their character is of such that they don't have any self-control, and that nature, that part of them, caused them to do what they did. So they lose their job. They end up going to jail. You have right now big cases and stuff going on, prosecuting people, right? And lawyers and people that you think are supposed to be telling the truth, and that's, they live by different standards. You find stuff by judges and lawyers and all this stuff. These people go to school for a long time, work hard to get a law degree and meet, they have to pass the bar and do all this stuff, and then they have to keep, it's not like one and done. Every so often, I believe they have to take more tests to make sure they're still good, that they can still, they are, what is the word? Just basically they have to keep taking tests and things of that nature to just make sure that they are still on top of their game, okay? And they have to do this all the time, and they have to study. And then to do all that and ruin it for what? Either to steal, they go to steal money, falling into affairs, cheating on their husbands or their wives, abusing their staff, sexually harassing people. Why? Their character comes in to destroy it. You see, they have the ability to go to school. They have the brains to learn. They graduated. They got those degrees and they did all this stuff and they accomplished great things and they got the name. But inside of them was a poor character that brought them down. And understand that when people do these things, they don't get caught immediately. And sometimes when they're caught, because they're in these circles and they have power and they have authority, people will keep quiet out of fear of retaliation. They don't want to get fired. They don't want to be picked on. And sometimes people are just like, it doesn't matter. We don't turn a blind eye because they're benefiting in some way. But eventually it goes too far and you will lose everything. We see that happening in the church. These people go to school, they're doing well, they build up a following, their charisma, their charm causes them to be picked to be deacon and bishop and whatever and brought in, and they can speak well and people love them, but their character will cause them, as I said, two things are always going on in church. You're either a thief or a hoe. It's one out of the two. Okay? I mean, anything is possible, but the two common things that happen with people in the church, Christians, they're either stealing the money or mishandling funds, or they are sleeping around with people in the church, or they're cheating on their husband or their wives, or they're sleeping with the people in the ministry. It's one or the other, or pedophiles. Every now and then there's somebody that does something. They may take a life, but that's not the common thing that happens. So what happens, despite everything God gives to them, despite all that they've accomplished, despite how often God may give them grace and mercy, they will keep doing the same thing. Their character, these areas that they refuse to work on, will mess them up. Then they're in a church scandal. Then they're going to prison. Then somebody's husband's wife is walking into the church and creating a scene. Now, we do know the church will a lot of the churches today, they're so brainwashed that they're going to, it's warfare. Everything is always warfare. Yes, the warfare is between you and God. You choosing, these individuals choosing their flesh and fighting against the Spirit of God. That's the warfare. But what am I saying? Character. What's within them? Whatever you feed from your little. That's why I tell my children now, and I talk to them about certain things, certain behaviors and certain things they may do. I call them on it. I talk to them about it. We have long talks about it. I don't let it slide. Certain things, it's just a kid, but some things I will not let it slide. Okay? Because if you don't nip it in the bud from a young age, it will continue to grow. Maybe you slip through and you fool people long enough, but you have everybody knows this thing that they have. This thing that they do. If you're a liar and you practice telling lies, and you use lies to escape that spirit that you often give into to get away with things, will be the same spirit that will shame you. If you're not dealing with your anger, if you're not dealing with your malice, if you're not dealing with your bitterness, while it may work for a while and you use those things against other people, it will also be the same thing that will bring you down. Character flaws are basically those deficits and those things within yourselves that you refuse to deal with. Those things within ourselves that we see that we do. If you may have an anger problem, maybe when you get angry, you use profanity. When you get angry, you become vindictive. Maybe when you are angry, you become very malicious. Maybe you are someone that you realize that you're always trying to hustle. You're good at talking people into investing into things, and you're good at gaining their trust when you yourself don't know if this is a good investment or not. But you're going to get the money right up front, and you know you're not going to do what you need to do. Maybe you borrow money and you don't give it back. Maybe you're a person, you live like Wimpy from Popeyes. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. So you borrow from this person, and then you borrow from that person. Okay? You already have it in your mind. What you want, you have 5 people that you call in, asking them each for something else, each for $100, and maybe they can give you that, or $200. So if you get $200 from 3 people, you have $600. Okay, the other 2 weren't able to give it to you, but you have $600 now, but you still owe half of that back to the people you borrowed from. Right? Because what I say, they each give you 200, 2, 4, 6, or 100. What did I say? All right, let's start over. I can't remember. Look, I think I said 100. Let's keep it simple. You line up 5 people. You want to borrow $500 from them. And then you want to borrow $100 from each. So you can get 500 in total. You only get 300. The other 2 couldn't give you anything, right? So you have 300. Okay, but now you owe that money back. You still need to pay whatever you have in your hand right now. You owe that money back. A lot of times you're going to tell them, oh, I'll pay you back on my next payday and all that. And you find yourself, you can't. Okay, so there's these excuses. You don't pay them back. You don't set their calls. You get an attitude. You know what I'm going through. Or worse, these people borrow from 5, 6 people. They got $100 a piece. They got 600. Now you owe $600 by payday. So that's a character flaw that has to be worked on, because you may think you're getting away with it, but eventually it's going to catch up to you in some way. Whether someone's pressing charges or somebody is pressing a gun in your temple. Okay? You have people who they grew up a certain way and they have so much, just based on how they were raised, they're not very good at taking instructions, or they're not good at listening to constructive criticism. Any sort of input is considered to them to be you're criticizing them because of what they may have experienced or gone through when they were younger, how their parents taught to them. So now that they're in charge, they cannot take any criticism. They cannot take any sort of advice. They look at it as if you're against them. You see what I mean? And then now they have a vendetta out for you. You met somebody that's at work and they're just vicious. They can't get past what happened 2 weeks ago, so they treat you different from that day forward while claiming that there's nothing wrong. That is a character flaw. Because they don't know how to deal with conflict. They have no conflict resolution skills. They have no interpersonal skills. And sometimes they will think to themselves, well, I'm in charge, or I'm in this position. I didn't do anything wrong. Then they go into their marriages and their relationships. They look good on the outside. They look good on paper. They're accomplished. They're educated. They may be kind. They may be this. They may be that. But once they get into that marriage, their character will destroy it. Because you realize she's vindictive. You realize he may be vindictive or malicious, has issues with his flesh. He has issues with pornography. She may have issues with that. Maybe violent. Maybe a person that's lazy, cannot carry out any responsibilities, do the things that they need to do, because they don't deal with it. What they do is they think that they can compensate and make up for these behaviors with their natural abilities. They look at the house that they live in. They look at the jobs that they have. They look at or listen to all the praises that they're getting from their fans and people who's showing up, the congregation. All of that will get to their heads, and they feel like there's nothing wrong. Look at all that I'm doing. Look at all that I've accomplished. I'm sitting here in this. I'm the judge. I'm sitting here. I'm a lawyer. I'm a prosecutor. I'm this. I'm that. I'm DA. I'm a general. I'm a surgeon. I'm a great speaker. I'm a singer. I travel all over the world. People travel for me. My name is in the kiosk. That will get to their heads. And so what happens is when the still small voice of the Holy Spirit is speaking to them, they can't hear it anymore. They override it and they try to overcompensate through worldly means. And what happens is they allow this part of their character to fester and to grow because they think they can hide it. They think they can get away with it. And sometimes they get to a point that they just don't care anymore. But it is very important to work on your character. You want to have a good name. Maybe you've done some things in the past. You can't go back and change the past. But God will show you ways that you can right your wrongs. Some things are possible. Other things, you have to leave it alone. You ask God to forgive you for it. And what you do is, moving forward, you do the right things. You make better decisions. Yes, there may be people who knew the old you and how you used to be, but you don't fall into that. You allow yourself, you allow God to change you. You allow God to restore you. You allow God to create in you a clean heart and renew a right spirit within you. You allow him to show you the way. You allow him to cleanse you. He'll teach you how to be a person who's patient, a person who is kind. You allow the Spirit of God to teach you how to be a person who is slow to anger, a person who knows how to process information and not take it personally, a person who can take constructive criticism and not think that it's a personal attack, a person who knows how to hear both sides of a matter and come to some sort of middle ground, a person who has self-control, who don't feel like you have to drop your pants at every beautiful woman you see, or feel like you have to lift your skirt, ladies, for every handsome guy you see. You see, there's some people, they genuinely have that weakness. And what will happen is, if you don't let God deal with that, he can't bless you. He can't give you anything really, because you will destroy it. And what you have already, you will destroy it by your character. He'll give you a family. You'll destroy that family. He'll give you children. You will destroy your children. You will get to know people. You may be placed in elevated to certain positions. You will destroy that. Your character will destroy you. And the reason why a lot of times people don't want to face that thing about themselves is because it's hard work. It feels hard to try to not be angry and snap. It's hard work. How do I learn how not to be jealous? How do I unlearn that? How do I unlearn my defense mechanisms that I have used throughout most of my life to get me through? You see, sometimes people had to put on this defense mechanism in order to protect themselves from those who have hurt them from they were young, and to get through the barriers that they faced, even from their own families. But they get too comfortable with that. So they're always on guard, and they end up hurting people, end up making bad mistakes. Poor character is why you see people who are actors and singers and athletes that women galore are trying to get with them, but yet they will still be accused of sexually assaulting a person. That's something that's in them. Oh yes, I can get all the ladies I want, but there's something in him where he enjoys the fear, the fight, the fright, the power. One's abilities can get you into so many circles and you have a lot of money, but your character will have you broke. Because you spend all the time, have nothing saved up, and something happens, you have nothing. These are things that when we see it, that's a deficit. That's something that's in us. We got to say, God, I recognize this in myself. I need your help. Help me to make better choices. Help me to do better. Change my heart, change my mindset. Remove this thing, this habit from the root, lest it destroys me. You see what I mean? So it's the same thing, guys. That's what you have to think about. Education and charm, charisma can take you to many places, but a poor character will destroy it all and bring you right down. Think about what I'm saying, guys. God bless.